Have you ever noticed subtle changes in a woman's body language around you? Small, almost hidden gestures that seem to speak louder than words? Understanding these signs is like learning a new language. Her body language becomes a window into her unspoken desires. When a woman hasn't experienced intimacy for a while, her body finds ways to express it without her even realizing it. And these are signals most people miss. In this video, we're diving deep into the unique ways a woman's body language, sense of humor, and conversational shifts reveal a side she might not say out loud. These aren't just random behaviors. They're expressions of pent-up energy seeking an outlet, signals waiting to be noticed. From the subtle ways she makes eye contact, to playful remarks, or those gentle touches, each sign brings you closer to understanding the story behind her words. You'll want to stay tuned because, by the end of this video, you'll gain insights into interpreting her unique signs of attraction and connection, as well as how to respond with sensitivity. This knowledge isn't just about recognizing interest. It's about creating a space for real connection. So, if you're ready to explore what her body language truly says, and why subtle signs are more powerful than you think, watch until the end. Let's uncover together the hidden language that only the observant will ever see. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. Number 1. The body's language doesn't lie. The body's language is an undeniable truth. It never lies, and never masks what the heart holds. Especially when it comes to a woman who has been without intimate touch for a time, her body becomes a quiet, yet powerful, storyteller. Without words, without conscious effort, her body will speak, almost as if it's craving to express what her mind may be too hesitant or cautious to share. There's a fascinating and beautiful complexity here, an unspoken energy that begins to manifest in her smallest actions, waiting patiently for someone perceptive enough to notice. It's in these delicate, nearly imperceptible cues that you find her, not as she presents herself to the world, but as she truly feels beneath the surface. Let me share a story that has stayed with me over the years. A close friend once told me about an experience he had with a coworker. At first, he thought nothing of it, brushing off her slight shifts in behavior as a coincidence. But gradually, he began to notice the nuances. She would lean in just a touch closer than before during their conversations. Her gaze would hold him with an intensity that seemed to pierce beyond their casual exchanges, and when she laughed, there was an almost shy yet deliberate way her hand would move toward her hair, tracing through it slowly. To an outsider, it might have looked innocent and mundane. But to him, paying careful attention, it became clear that her movements, while subtle, were charged with an energy that felt both unspoken and undeniable. It wasn't overt. She wasn't openly flirting. She might not have even realized what she was doing. But to someone observant, it was as if her body was whispering a secret. Her desire, her longing, and maybe even a touch of vulnerability were seeping out through these small gestures. They were not signs of mere friendliness or habit. They were manifestations of a deeper feeling that had been tucked away, a yearning that was revealing itself without permission from her conscious mind. When a woman has gone without intimacy, without the closeness of someone she truly connects with, her body can begin to carry that energy in small, visible ways. Studies in psychology have long shown that the human body responds to unfulfilled needs, often in gestures we're not fully aware of. This is especially true with emotions tied to connection and intimacy. Her hands may find themselves drawn to her hair more often. Her eyes might linger, her gaze soft yet intense, as if searching for understanding. She might move just a little closer, closing the space between you, or allow a touch to linger in a way that seems natural yet somehow purposeful. There's an unconscious desire for closeness that even she may not fully recognize, but her body reflects it, a physical manifestation of what lies within. And yet, reading these signs requires a delicate balance. The language of the body, while honest, is also complex and layered. It's easy to misinterpret, to make assumptions based on fleeting movements, which can lead to misunderstanding. Not every gesture means what we hope it does. Sometimes, these actions are a mere byproduct of her inner world, not meant as signals for anyone but herself. Respecting the subtlety of body language means approaching it with empathy and awareness, understanding that it's a window, not a clear instruction. When you find yourself in the presence of such quiet, intense gestures, it's important to let her take the lead. She may be testing the waters, curious to see if you're attuned to her signals. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Consider this. When you're speaking, is her gaze fixed on you, her eyes warm and unwavering, as if she's truly seeing you? Does she play with her hair or her necklace, a nervous habit perhaps, or something more revealing? These gestures aren't random. They are pieces of her inner thoughts, slipping out into the physical world. It's as though she's inviting you, softly, to pay attention, to see her in a way that goes beyond what is spoken. A woman's desire, especially when unexpressed, does not present itself loudly. Instead, it weaves itself into her smallest, most unguarded actions, the ones she doesn't even notice herself. In moments of quiet laughter, in the brush of her hand against yours, in the way her body seems to tilt towards you as if instinctively pulled, these are moments of vulnerability and invitation. Imagine a woman who, in her solitude, has carried her unfulfilled emotions with grace, only to find them now rising quietly to the surface. She's not announcing her desires or broadcasting her thoughts. Her body does that for her. And if you can sense this, if you're sensitive enough to feel the warmth in her gaze or the way her fingers linger on an object as if holding back a touch, then you've tapped into something profound. What she's showing you in these small acts is a deeply personal narrative, an intimacy that surpasses any words she might say. Her body language becomes a dance. A careful, tentative dance that requires you to respond with understanding and respect, allowing her to share herself at her own pace. In those quiet exchanges, her body becomes an instrument, subtly expressing what she may not even fully understand herself. A woman's gestures, when guided by unexpressed longing, are not dramatic or exaggerated. They are soft, gentle reminders that she is human, that she has desires and emotions as raw and real as anyone's. They are her unspoken way of inviting closeness, of seeing if you'll recognize the subtleties and, if you do, whether you'll handle them with care. To notice these cues is to connect with her on a level that words can't reach. It's to share in her silent world, to witness the beauty of her unfiltered vulnerability. And when you do, when you tune into these small signs with the respect and empathy they deserve, you're able to respond in a way that goes beyond mere conversation. Because what her body is revealing, through those lingering glances, those small, gentle touches, is a longing for something genuine. She's letting you glimpse a part of herself that she might never express openly, a part of her that's waiting to be discovered, embraced, and seen. This is the beauty of body language. Its honesty, its simplicity, its truth. A woman's gestures, particularly when she hasn't felt intimacy for a time, are more than mere habits. They are the voice of her heart, speaking to anyone willing to listen. And if you do, you may just find that you're being invited into a connection that is as real as it is rare. A connection built not on words but on the quiet, deeply felt language of the body and soul. Number 2. Playful and provocative humor. Humor has a curious way of forging connections, especially when it's wrapped in a playful, provocative twist. This kind of humor, one that's subtly suggestive, yet seemingly innocent, can be a bridge to intimacy, opening a door without actually stepping through it. For some women, especially those who've been without close companionship for a while, humor becomes an enticing way to rekindle their sense of intrigue and connection. It's not about explicit overtures. It's about crafting moments, laced with double-edged meanings, that test the waters and see if you're perceptive enough to respond in kind. Every comment, every glance, is chosen with intent. She knows precisely what she's doing. Picture yourself in a casual setting, perhaps surrounded by friends, where the conversation is light and unassuming. Suddenly, she slips in a comment that feels like it holds a little more weight, something that dances on the edge of innocence and intimacy. "It's been ages since anything exciting happened to me," she says with a laugh, her eyes meeting yours in a gaze that lingers just a moment too long, her lips curling into a subtle, knowing smile. The words themselves might seem harmless, but something in her tone, in the way her eyes hold yours, speaks volumes. That look, that seemingly casual comment, is her way of placing a question in your mind. She's inviting you to see if you'll read between the lines, to see if you'll respond to her curiosity with a flicker of intrigue of your own. This isn't a coincidence. She's weaving a form of covert flirtation that's both safe and thrilling. A friend once told me about his neighbor, a woman he had only exchanged friendly conversations with, until one day, something shifted. Out of nowhere, her comments grew just a bit bolder. Her jokes seemed to take on an undertone that he couldn't ignore. At first, he thought it was part of the conversation, but over time, he noticed the pattern. Each joke held a little more weight, a hint of double meaning that wasn't there before. As the laughs grew, so did the tension, and he realized that these weren't just jokes. They were carefully crafted invitations, each one revealing a bit more of the attraction that had likely been building for some time. Humor, especially when used in this way, is an intricate dance. It's a way of expressing interest without the risk of outright rejection. She's allowing herself to be playful, to drop hints that have layers, but she's doing so with just enough subtlety that if you don't catch on, she can laugh it off without any risk of awkwardness. It's a delicate art, testing the waters while keeping the safety net of humor intact. With each teasing remark or light-hearted jab, she's leaving you clues, like breadcrumbs, hoping you'll pick up on them without feeling pressured. It's as if she's saying, "Here's a little hint. Are you perceptive enough to see what's underneath?" The psychology behind this kind of humor is fascinating. Humor has long been a powerful way of connecting with people, breaking down walls, and building bonds. When she uses a double entendre, a comment that's laced with innuendo, she's not just trying to make you laugh. She's skillfully drawing you in, probing to see how you'll respond. It's about her feeling safe enough to be playful, to flirt in a way that's subtle yet clear. And there's an art to it too, because she knows there's a fine line between being suggestive and being too forward. She wants to see if you're willing to meet her halfway, to engage in the playful banter that adds a thrill to the connection. It's not just about the words she says but the energy behind them, the way her eyes might linger, the slight pause before she laughs, the almost imperceptible way her smile changes when you catch the underlying meaning. This dynamic isn't about overt flirtation. It's a psychological game of sorts, where the stakes are higher because of the tension and mystery involved. She's protecting herself by masking her interest with humor, keeping it light enough that, if necessary, she can easily pivot back to the safety of a neutral interaction. If you don't respond to her humor the way she hopes, she can brush it off as a casual comment, laugh at her joke, and retreat without any loss. But if you catch her tone, if you recognize the slightly charged nature of her humor, then you're invited into a different space, a place where the two of you share something beyond the everyday chit-chat. Marta, a friend of mine, once shared that humor was her secret weapon when it came to testing the waters with someone she found intriguing. "If I make a joke that has a hint of intimacy," she admitted, "it's because I want to see if he's bold enough to play along." For Marta, humor was a safe way to express her interest, a way to see if the person she was drawn to had the emotional intelligence to pick up on her signals without her having to make a direct move. She called it the art of the subtle invitation, a term that perfectly captures this type of flirtation. It's an invitation to engage, to connect on a level that's deeper than what words alone can convey. This style of humor is also an expression of trust. By sharing a joke with an intimate undertone, she's signaling that she feels safe enough to be vulnerable, to express herself with a bit of daring. She's opening a door, but she's letting you be the one to walk through it. And if you reciprocate, if you catch on and play along, the connection becomes charged with an unspoken agreement, a mutual curiosity that's exhilarating. It's as if both of you are co-creating a space where attraction and mystery are intertwined, where words are only part of the message, and the rest lies in the pauses, the glances, and the laughter that follows. She's not just looking for a quick laugh. She's looking for someone who can join her in the game, and who can pick up on the subtle cues she's leaving behind. When she makes a provocative joke, She's giving you a piece of herself, revealing a side that she might usually keep hidden. And if you respond with a hint of intrigue, with a playful remark of your own, then you're signaling back that you're not just interested in her words, but in what's beneath them. It's a mutual dance of curiosity, of daring each other to see how far you're willing to go, all under the guise of innocent humor. Humor, in this way, is not just a tool. It's a powerful form of connection. It allows her to be open yet protected, playful yet serious, all at once. And as the conversation unfolds, if you find yourself matching her energy, returning her playful remarks with your own, then you know you've been invited into a space where words have deeper meanings, where laughter and glances hold a weight that goes beyond the moment. It's not just about what she says, but how she says it, and if you can hear the invitation in her laughter, then perhaps you're ready to take that step closer, to a connection that's as thrilling as it is mysterious. Number 3. The need for physical affection. The need for physical affection is an innate, often unspoken language, a primal way in which a woman can express the feelings she may struggle to put into words. Physical touch has a way of conveying the nuances of longing, vulnerability, and a deeply personal desire for closeness that simple conversation often cannot capture. When a woman has been without intimate companionship for an extended time, this need for physical affection quietly, almost imperceptibly, begins to manifest. It doesn't always appear through overt gestures like tight embraces or obvious caresses. Instead, it takes shape in the form of subtle touches, a brush of the hand, a gentle squeeze on the shoulder, or a prolonged moment of closeness. These tender, delicate gestures reveal an undercurrent of desire for connection, an unspoken need for comfort and safety, even if she might not fully recognize it herself. I remember a story about Laura, a woman who crossed paths with a close friend of mine. He shared with me how their interactions had started to feel different over time. What once had been casual hellos and goodbyes had evolved, almost imperceptibly, into something deeper. Laura, who had previously kept a polite distance, now greeted him with a hug that lingered just a second too long or a hand that rested on his arm mid-conversation. At first, he thought nothing of it. These gestures were subtle, nearly indistinct. But as time passed, they began to carry a weight, a presence, as if they were filled with silent messages, unvoiced sentiments that spoke volumes. These small, delicate moments weren't invasive or overwhelming, but rather like gentle taps on the shoulder, as if to say, "I'm here, and I want to feel seen." These gestures might seem trivial if you're not attuned to them, yet they contain a profound need for connection. When a woman has been without affection for a significant period, her body, almost instinctively, seeks out the comfort of human closeness, even if she isn't fully aware of it. It's as though her body remembers what it feels like to be near someone, to feel the warmth of another person's presence, and it starts to ask for it in the subtlest ways. She doesn't come out and openly seek intimacy, nor does she declare her longing out loud. Instead, it's the small touches, the little ways she stays close, that reveal her deeper feelings. She is saying, in her silent language, that she misses the sensation of being connected, of feeling someone near. There's something inherently human about this craving for touch. Studies in psychology and neuroscience have long established that physical affection is fundamental to well-being and that when we are deprived of it, our need for it grows more profound. Touch is a language, a means of expressing what often lies buried beneath layers of self-protection and hesitation. What's truly fascinating is that these gestures of closeness often operate on a subconscious level. A woman may not even realize she's reaching out in this way. Her body takes over, communicating a desire for affection that her mind may not yet feel ready to confront. Perhaps it's in a brief touch on your hand, a simple squeeze on your arm, or a way of positioning herself near you that reveals a yearning for connection she hasn't yet voiced. Reading these signals requires sensitivity. They're not loud declarations or unmistakable signs, but rather soft murmurs of the soul. When a woman instinctively seeks proximity, be it through a slight graze of her hand or an extra second of closeness, it is as though she is saying, "I want to be near you, to feel some part of what I have been missing." But these touches also carry layers of vulnerability. For many, Physical closeness is the one remaining way to convey intimacy without stepping into emotional vulnerability too quickly. It allows her to feel connected while maintaining a safe distance emotionally. Her body asks for closeness, but in a way that still respects her boundaries, allowing her the dignity of not having to ask directly. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Imagine this. You're saying goodbye, and she leans in for a hug that lingers. As her arms stay wrapped around you, there's a softness in her hold, a tenderness that feels different, warmer. Or perhaps, during a conversation, her hand lightly rests on your forearm, a touch that feels intentional, even if it's brief. These gestures might seem small to the casual observer, but for someone tuned in, they're powerful indications of a deeper need for closeness, for warmth. In that prolonged hug, in that touch that lingers, she's allowing herself a moment of connection that, however brief, fills a part of the void left by the absence of intimacy. These gestures can often carry a deeper significance when a woman has gone without affection for a long time. In many ways, her touches are not requests but quiet reminders of what it feels like to be close to someone. It's as if she's telling herself, "This is what connection feels like." Her body, in its language, is reaching out, asking for the comfort of human warmth and presence. But it's essential to approach these gestures with understanding and respect. They are not invitations or enticements but rather expressions of need, ways she feels safe in sharing a piece of herself. Her search for connection may be rooted in the desire for companionship, but it also holds a layer of self-protection, an attempt to feel safe and understood. So, when you notice that slight brush of her hand on your shoulder or that hug that lingers just a little longer, take a moment to truly see what's happening. This is more than a mere greeting or goodbye. It's a message of yearning, a quiet expression of trust. It's an unspoken way of inviting you into her world, letting you know that she is seeking something gentle, something warm, and something safe. And in those moments, there is a richness, a beauty in being able to understand her silent requests, to honor her need for affection without pushing for more. Because within those tender touches, those brief moments of closeness, lies a story of longing, resilience, and a profound human need for connection that, when respected, can be one of the most beautiful gifts we can offer each other. Number 4. The shift in conversation. The shift in conversation is one of those moments that might go unnoticed by the untrained eye, but to someone paying attention, it reveals a story far more profound than the words spoken aloud. When a woman has been without intimacy for a long time, there's a gradual transformation in her dialogue, a deepening that becomes almost palpable. What once might have been light, easy conversations about the day-to-day now carry a subtle weight. She might have previously kept certain emotions tucked away, hidden beneath the surface, but now, almost unconsciously, these emotions begin to seep into her words. She might bring up thoughts on relationships, memories from her past, or yearnings for the connection she has long left unspoken. This shift isn't random. It's an invitation, a delicate opening of a door to her inner world, offering you a glimpse into her heart. In moments like these, it's essential to heighten your awareness and listen with care. When a woman allows you to see beyond her usual exterior, she is showing you a level of trust she doesn't extend to just anyone. Her words, though subtle, become more layered, weaving together pieces of her life that she normally keeps guarded. It's as though she's letting you peer through the pages of her unwritten journal, hoping that you'll see her for all she is, her desires, her insecurities, her longing for a genuine connection that goes beyond the surface. I remember a heartfelt conversation with my friend Isabel, who spoke candidly about how, after months of solitude, she noticed a change in herself that even surprised her. "I didn't plan it," she confessed softly, "but with certain friends, I found myself talking about my past relationships and how much I miss having someone there, someone to share my life with. It just started coming out." The words were simple, but the tone was laced with vulnerability, and that vulnerability was as real as it gets. In moments like these, her heart was quietly reaching out, revealing a side of herself that felt both hopeful and uncertain. When a woman starts talking like this, about the parts of herself that she usually keeps hidden, It's a powerful sign that something within her is yearning to be seen, to be understood, and to be cherished. When a woman begins to speak of her love life, or, perhaps more poignantly, the absence of it, it's rarely just a casual topic she's throwing into the mix. Her words may seem offhand, but they carry a world of unspoken emotion. She might tell you that she can barely remember what it feels like to be truly close to someone, or she might drop a quiet, wistful remark like, "I don't know if I even remember what it's like to be held." Maybe she'll say it with a laugh, a smile that masks the pain beneath. But behind these words lies an ocean of feeling, an ache that she might have long pushed down, but that's now rising to the surface, begging for acknowledgement. She's giving you a glimpse of the emptiness she feels, a loneliness that lingers and grows heavier with time. There's a certain courage it takes to expose these feelings, even subtly, to someone else. A study I came across once delved into the psychology of emotional communication, describing how people in need of connection naturally begin to open up, sharing parts of themselves in the hopes of forming a bond that fills that emotional void. For a woman who hasn't felt that closeness in some time, speaking about it isn't easy. She's revealing her need for companionship, for a safe space where she can be herself without judgment. So, when she begins to touch on topics that feel more personal and more emotionally charged, it's no mere coincidence. She's placing trust in you, hoping you'll understand and meet her in that vulnerable space. These conversations often begin innocently, even subtly, perhaps in the context of a general chat about relationships or what it means to feel close to someone. But if you listen closely, you'll notice when her words start carrying a different energy. She might mention feelings of loneliness or reflect on what she misses about being with someone. Small hints that her heart is quietly speaking even as her words remain measured. These are not moments of simple venting. Rather, they are an invitation for you to see her on a deeper level, an unspoken plea for connection. She's letting you into her inner world, hoping you'll understand the void she feels and see it as a chance to connect, not as a burden to bear. This is where your role becomes crucial. Listening deeply, without judgment, without interruption, becomes an act of profound care. When a woman opens up this way, it's not necessarily because she needs solutions. Often, what she desires most is someone who can hold her emotions with gentleness and understanding. She needs to feel safe, to know that someone truly sees her beyond the surface. It's a rare and beautiful moment, one that requires a careful, respectful touch. In these conversations, every pause, every quiet sigh, and every memory shared becomes part of her story that she's letting you witness. If you're attentive, you'll see that her openness is a silent invitation. She's asking for someone who can empathize, who won't just hear the words she's speaking but will pick up on the emotions beneath them. These moments are when the real connection begins to form, when the walls come down, and she feels understood without having to spell everything out. For her, this conversation is more than just words. It's her way of signaling that there's a longing within her heart that she's ready to explore. She's looking for someone who can meet her there, in the quiet depths of her vulnerability, and hold that space with warmth and patience. As the conversation unfolds, notice how it feels as though time slows, the world fades, and you're left in this intimate exchange that carries weight and meaning. This is her way of showing you the depths of her being, of allowing you to witness the parts of her that she usually keeps hidden. It's her way of saying, "Here I am. Can you see me for all that I am?" And if you can respond with empathy, if you can gently match her vulnerability with your openness, the two of you may find yourselves standing at the threshold of a bond that transcends the usual confines of conversation. When a woman shares herself this openly, it's not something to take lightly. It's a gift, a rare opportunity to connect with another person on a deeply personal level. She's not just telling you about her life. She's entrusting you with pieces of her soul, hoping that you'll understand, that you'll hold her words as dearly as she does. She's inviting you into a world of shared intimacy, of quiet moments and deep conversations where emotions are laid bare. If you can respond to that invitation with compassion and sincerity, you'll find that her openness becomes a path toward a connection that's as real as it is meaningful. And perhaps, just perhaps, in those moments of shared vulnerability, you'll both discover the beauty of a connection that fills the emptiness and brings comfort, understanding, and even love. Number 5. The silent jealousy. Jealousy is one of those emotions we're taught to keep hidden, an emotion we might even deny feeling because it doesn't fit neatly into the mold of who we want to be. Yet, for so many, especially those who have been without the warmth of intimate connection for a long time, jealousy emerges in subtle, almost invisible ways. It's not the stormy, obvious jealousy filled with loud expressions and gestures. Instead, it's a quiet, unspoken type that shows itself only through the slightest changes in demeanor, often going unnoticed. This silent jealousy isn't about possessiveness or insecurity. It's a whisper of an unfulfilled longing, a yearning for connection, to be seen and valued deeply by someone close. Picture a scene at a casual gathering, a group of friends chatting, sharing stories, laughter, and memories. Somewhere in the conversation, you casually mention another woman. It could be a harmless, passing reference to a new colleague, or a funny anecdote about a friend from work. As the words leave your mouth, there's a subtle shift in her face. Her expression remains polite, her demeanor calm, but you might catch a moment, a split second, where her gaze falters, her smile stiffens ever so slightly, or her eyes seem to withdraw, just for a second. Then, like a skilled performer, she seamlessly resumes her role, responding with a light-hearted joke or redirecting the conversation with practiced ease. It's all so subtle that you could easily miss it. But if you look closely, you might recognize this as a glimpse into the depths of her feelings, a barely perceptible hint of silent jealousy. This brings to mind a story about my friend Carolina, a woman with a heart so guarded that even those closest to her rarely glimpsed beneath the surface. Carolina was the kind of friend you could count on to listen, to offer support without judgment, and to be a source of calm wisdom. She never demanded attention or validation. She seemed completely at peace with herself. But when I began seeing someone new, I started noticing slight shifts in her behavior. When I mentioned my girlfriend, her responses would suddenly become more clipped, her warmth dimming just enough to sense something hidden beneath. She'd make a half-hearted joke about how lucky I was, or about how some people always seem to find love. Her tone was light, but the faint edge to her words was unmistakable, and the more I reflected on it, the more I realized it wasn't humor. It was a delicate, quiet reminder that she, too, longed for that kind of connection. In psychology, silent jealousy is known as an adaptive expression, a complex, nonverbal signal that often goes unnoticed by all but the most perceptive individuals. Unlike the jealousy we see in movies, jealousy that's loud, dramatic, even hurtful, silent jealousy is nuanced, woven into the smallest reactions and briefest pauses. For women who have been without intimacy for some time, this feeling often arises not out of anger or resentment, but from a deeply human desire to feel seen, cherished, and significant to someone. It's not about competing with others for attention, but about wanting to be reassured that the connection you share with her is special and that it remains meaningful and valued. Imagine, too, the emotional toll of suppressing that need over time. For a woman who feels unseen or undervalued, each passing interaction can feel like a missed chance for closeness, a reminder of the gap between where she stands and where she yearns to be. When you talk about another woman, even in the most innocent context, it might inadvertently spark a moment of longing within her, a brief surge of unspoken jealousy that reflects her desire for intimacy and connection. This isn't the jealousy of possessiveness, nor does it reflect insecurity. Rather, it's an expression of an unmet need to be emotionally close, to be treasured, and to hold a special place in someone's life. Consider another layer to this feeling: the protective instinct. Women who experience this subtle jealousy often subconsciously try to guard the connection they have with you, not by creating conflict, but by subtly asserting their presence. Her silence, her small gestures, and her reserved reactions are quiet ways of reminding you that she, too, wants to feel important in your life. It's not that she sees other women as threats. Instead, it's her gentle way of affirming that she wants to matter, that she's afraid of losing that precious connection. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. These feelings can also reflect her past experiences. A woman who has loved and lost, or who has been let down in relationships, may be especially prone to experiencing silent jealousy. Each time you mention another person, it might bring up memories of times she was overlooked or forgotten, times she felt invisible to those she cared about. Her jealousy, then, becomes not just a response to the present but a whisper from her past, a longing to be noticed and chosen, not just as an afterthought but as someone cherished and respected. So, what can you do if you notice these signs? The key is to respond with empathy and subtlety. She doesn't need grand gestures or confrontations, but rather quiet moments of validation. A smile, a warm look, and a few words that reaffirm her importance to you can go a long way in easing her silent jealousy. Let her know, even if indirectly, that she doesn't need to compete for your attention, and that she holds a place in your life that's uniquely hers. By offering a small gesture of acknowledgement, you reassure her that her unspoken fears are heard and that her longing for connection is something you recognize and respect. Silent jealousy, after all, is often a signal of hidden love or affection, a gentle alarm from the heart that she values the bond you share. It's a way of saying without words, "I care about you. I want to be a part of your life." These moments of subtle jealousy aren't about winning or staking a claim. They're quiet yearnings for closeness, for the comfort of knowing that she holds a special place with you. In responding with kindness and understanding, you honor the vulnerability she may not be able to voice but that she hopes you can sense. In the end, this silent jealousy reveals an intricate blend of hope, fear, and affection. It's a delicate reminder that we all long to be seen and cherished, to have someone we can trust to value us deeply, even when we can't bring ourselves to say it. So the next time you see those small signs, a lingering pause, a shift in tone, a half-smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes, remember that these moments are more than just subtle reactions. They're glimpses into her heart, invitations for you to be present, and, above all, to remind her that the connection she cherishes with you is something you treasure as well. Number 6. The invitations to spend time alone. Sometimes, the most powerful signs that a woman desires to be closer to you aren't expressed in words, but in the subtle, meaningful ways she opens doors for shared solitude. These are gentle, unassuming moments she creates, opportunities for quiet connection that go beyond any spoken invitation. She's not simply asking to hang out. Instead, she's building an intimate space where walls can lower, laughter can echo warmly, and the possibilities of something deeper can emerge naturally, without the need for grand gestures or declarations. In reflecting on my own life, I recall a period of longing, a time when I had been out of a relationship for a while and had begun to feel the quiet ache of solitude. I found myself yearning for genuine connection again, and yet I wasn't overt or obvious in seeking it. Instead, I began to carefully craft invitations to those who sparked my interest, slipping hints through quiet, thoughtful plans. Rather than filling my evenings with groups of friends, I'd suggest intimate dinners at home, a night at the movies, or a peaceful walk under the stars. There was an underlying intention behind these ideas, simple as they may seem, to foster a kind of closeness that could only flourish in stillness. For many women, particularly those who may have felt disconnected from intimacy for a time, these private invitations are significant. They are like whispers of a deeper desire, soft yet strong, signaling a wish to step closer and explore what could lie beyond the boundaries of friendship. These invitations aren't loud or demanding. They're gentle and quiet, but unmistakable in their meaning if you know how to listen. And so, when a woman invites you to be alone together, to spend time in a space without the distractions of the outside world, understand it's not just about hanging out or catching up. She's extending something far more profound. There's a reason why women, and truly many people, seek out these private, one-on-one moments. When she suggests an evening in, a dinner for two, or a night watching a movie, it's not solely for companionship. It's to create an environment where connection can grow unhindered. She's offering you a setting where she can let down her guard, where the presence of others won't impose on her thoughts, her feelings, or the way she looks at you. Here, in this quiet space, she's opening the door to a deeper level of interaction, free from the noise of others, and allowing her vulnerability to shine through. These invitations are intimate, one that goes beyond mere companionship. There's a silent message wrapped within, waiting to be unwrapped. In these moments, I've often felt a blend of anticipation and curiosity, almost like an unspoken question lingers between us. It's as if she, too, wonders what will happen in the quiet when there are no others around, no interruptions, only the unfiltered presence of two people discovering one another. Each small gesture, a glance held a beat longer, or a laugh that seems a little softer, a little more genuine, speaks volumes about the intentions and the possibilities that lie ahead. There's an invitation in every glance, a whisper in every lingering silence, all meant to open the door to something far more meaningful than surface-level conversation. What's so special about these private settings is how they allow spontaneity to thrive. The magic often lies in the unexpected moments, a conversation that suddenly turns deeply personal, a shared laugh that breaks down any barriers, or a comfortable silence that speaks louder than words. Being alone with someone who excites and intrigues you is like dancing in uncharted territory, each word, each glance, each smile mapping out a path that only the two of you can follow. And as these unplanned moments unfold, you find yourselves drawn deeper into each other's worlds, caught up in a closeness that feels more genuine, more revealing than any grand or public display ever could. So when you notice a woman beginning to suggest one-on-one plans, recognize it for what it truly is. A gesture, a choice, a quiet way of saying she wants to explore the possibility of something more. Pay attention, not just to her words, but to the energy she brings into these moments. Watch how her eyes hold yours a little longer, how her laughter seems a bit more intimate, and how her presence feels warmer, more inviting when there's no one else around. These aren't just moments to catch up or pass the time. They are windows, subtle yet meaningful, where emotional connection can begin to take root, where the spark of something more profound may start to flicker. And while these invitations may seem innocent, almost casual on the surface, understand that within them lies a depth of intention. She's inviting you to step beyond the surface, to explore her true self, to engage with her heart in a way that requires no pretense or performance. In these precious moments, she's signaling that she's ready for something real, something that exists outside the noise and chaos of everyday life. And perhaps, she's just as curious as you are to see how the dynamic shifts when you're truly alone, when there's only room for genuine, unfiltered connection. When you find yourself in this situation, embrace it. Don't just see it as another invitation, but as a pathway to something meaningful. Observe how your connection changes in these quiet, shared moments. Sometimes, just being in the same space together, without words, without expectation, can say more than 1,000 conversations ever could. There is a beauty in the simplicity of just being, of feeling the energy between you both, of allowing each other's presence to speak in ways that words cannot. Sometimes, silence is where the true depth of connection can be found. In the end, if she's inviting you to share these private moments, to be alone together, to leave the world outside for just a little while, recognize the significance. She's creating an opportunity, a chance for you both to step into the unknown, to experience something that goes beyond the ordinary. And if you can see through to the heart of these invitations, if you can understand the quiet courage it takes for her to offer them, you may just find yourself on the brink of something truly beautiful. Number 7. The flirting becomes constant. When flirting becomes constant, something unexplainable shifts in the atmosphere, a quiet, undeniable energy that hangs in the air between you. It's as if every shared glance, every lingering smile, and each casual joke now carries a charge, like a spark waiting to ignite. Suddenly, your interactions are no longer just friendly exchanges. They take on a deeper, more vibrant layer of connection. This is a moment when the familiar becomes unfamiliar, transformed by a shared recognition of something more, something unsaid yet unmistakably present. This subtle shift often begins when a woman has been without intimacy for some time. Her natural warmth and openness now come with an edge, a suggestion. What once was an innocent smile becomes a lingering gaze that feels like it could say 1,000 things, if only words were enough. The laughter that once punctuated your conversations now lingers a little too long. The touch on your arm becomes a fraction more intentional, and you start to notice that each interaction feels like part of a continuous, unspoken conversation. In this gentle, endless game, a game that I know well, the art of flirting becomes a kind of language in itself. It's a subtle, beautifully layered expression of desire, curiosity, and even vulnerability. She might not consciously plan each interaction, but her every word, every glance, speaks volumes. The jokes you exchange take on a different tone, playful yet intense, teasing yet meaningful. The words exchanged may seem casual, but behind them lies an invitation to read between the lines, to see the message she's delicately weaving into the fabric of each moment you share. There's something incredibly powerful in the way constant flirting unfolds without the need for words. It's a dance, a rhythm you both fall into naturally, each step filled with anticipation. This kind of flirting isn't loud or obvious. It's subtle, intricate, and tender. Each comment carries a hint of something more, a whisper of her curiosity and her readiness to connect. Her tone of voice may soften when the conversation gets personal, and her laughter might come a bit more freely when you say something bold. Sometimes, she'll tease you with a remark that flirts with a line, testing your reaction, savoring the thrill of seeing if you'll pick up on the hints she's leaving. I remember a time in my own life, after a long absence from a romantic connection, when I found myself drawn into a similar game. There was someone I was undeniably attracted to, and though I didn't consciously plan to flirt, I noticed how my comments became more daring, my glances lingered a bit longer, and a part of me began to crave that spark, that dynamic that made our conversations feel alive. It was a kind of flirtation that didn't fade with time. Rather, it grew, becoming a quiet presence, always in the air, like an unspoken promise of something more. This kind of constant flirtation teaches us a lot about the psychology of attraction. When someone flirts repeatedly, it's rarely just a game. It's a way of exploring boundaries, a way to test the waters without taking a full leap. For a woman who has gone without the warmth of connection, this kind of interaction can be a gentle, even subconscious, way of seeking intimacy. And it's something that can build over time, stretching across days, weeks, even months, without anyone making a direct move. Both of you savor the tension, that thrilling ambiguity, as though each moment spent together adds another layer to the mystery. If you find yourself at the receiving end of this kind of flirting, the key to responding lies in awareness. There's a reason why she keeps coming back to you with that same spark in her eyes, with that same playful edge to her voice. This ongoing exchange is her way of communicating interest without having to say it outright. If you want to understand her intentions, start by noticing the patterns in her behavior. If she reserves this warmth, this playfulness, for you alone, if her tone grows softer, her gaze lingers longer when you're near, if she laughs a little more readily and finds herself drawn into conversations with you that feel more profound than casual, then it's safe to say you're part of a game she's carefully crafted, a game with meaning. The beauty of constant flirting lies in its unhurried nature. It isn't about making the first move, it's about knowing when to lean in, when to let the tension build, and when to respond in kind. For a woman who has been without the closeness of a partner, this gentle, ongoing interaction is her way of exploring, of gauging whether you're willing to join her in this delicate, thrilling dance. Here, patience becomes essential. It's not about rushing toward a goal, but about letting the connection grow naturally. So the next time you find yourself sharing those charged exchanges, filled with double meanings and soft laughter, recognize that there's more at play than meets the eye. She's inviting you to see, to feel, to understand that this is her way of saying she's open to something deeper, but she wants you to be the one who uncovers that truth. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. The art of understanding another person is often about seeing the unspoken and recognizing the feelings and thoughts that linger in the spaces between words. A woman who has been without intimacy doesn't shield herself behind impossible codes. Instead, she leaves delicate hints, quiet signs of her desires, her hopes, and her readiness to be seen. What we're exploring here isn't just a guide to noticing these cues. It's an invitation to engage from a place of empathy and sensitivity. Behind every playful comment, every glance that lingers, lies a deeper story, a yearning to be seen, understood, and perhaps even cherished. It's these small moments of true connection that often lead to the most meaningful relationships. Life's most beautiful connections frequently begin with these subtle moments of recognition. And when you learn to see with your heart, to listen to what isn't said, you become someone who values what others truly feel, beyond the surface interactions. This kind of awareness isn't just about fulfilling a passing need or desire. It's about creating bonds rooted in understanding and mutual respect, a foundation upon which something extraordinary can grow. My name is Celia, and I hope this space can be a sanctuary for wisdom and reflection. Here we're not just discussing intimacy, but exploring the deeper ways we can enrich our lives through connection, empathy, and understanding. Together, we can reflect on the small but powerful shifts we can make within ourselves, knowing that each one brings us closer to lives filled with meaning, relationships steeped in depth, and a world that feels just a little bit more connected. As we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned from today's exploration into the art of connection and the subtle language of flirting? Take a moment to reflect and share one thing that resonated with you, one insight you plan to carry forward into your own life. Leave it in the comments below. I'd love to see how these thoughts resonate with each of you. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insights on relationships, personal growth, and the powerful connections that shape our lives. Thank you for joining us, and see you in the next video.